Hey everybody, welcome to day two. So, day two, 50 days before I am 50, is on the what if theory of sacrifice. So, how befitting is it that I'm dressed up in fatigue, to go into the battle? So, I felt the best way to tackle day two was to come up with this or research a definition of sacrifice, because one of the things that we've grown up, most of us have grown up with this whole thing where we've either heard a parent or we've heard someone that cared for us, I've sacrificed so much to care for you. So I thought to myself, or I sacrificed so much to make sure you had this, or I sacrificed it. We've heard this theory of sacrifice all our lives, but have you ever known what the definition of sacrifice is? What if somebody said to you, okay, so here's the definition of sacrifice, and on this day too, we're going to take and break this down, and I'm going to tell you what I've learned in my 50 years about what if I was given this definition, how thing would be so different. So it says, here's the definition. I just Googled it, and this is what came up. It is the act of giving something up, something of value. So it is the act of giving up something of value for the sake of something else regarded as more important or worthy. So think about that. So it is the act of giving something up of value, right? Something that you value for the sake of something else that is considered more important or more worthy. So I had to break this down. I had to think to myself, so you take the theory of children, right? Because this is something that we've heard time and time again. So this would mean that all these times that we've had kids, this would mean that the minute you have children, you are considered worth less, basically, because we will put into our kids and our mind, oh, I've sacrificed this to make sure you have this, because at the end of the day, you truly didn't sacrifice anything. In the reality of it, you could have chosen not to have children. Because if you knew that you would have to be then considered worth less because you chose to have children, that would mean that you would have to think to yourself, okay, I'm what you value, right? Something of what you value. So if you take in children, what you value is your time, your money, your thought process, the effort, food, energy, and anything and everything that is at a cost, or even internally of what you have to give, your time and everything. That would mean that you take all of that and you say, mine is worth less, therefore I'm going to give it up, and give it up because the kid is more important and more worthy. Even if that is the case, then why are we making people feel guilty for that? Like, why every time our children or whatever, we throw this in their face and we say, oh, but I sacrificed everything for you. What does that mean? And I sat back and I thought about it, because I have a daughter. She's 19 years old, and I never told her that. I never felt that I actually sacrificed anything for the sake of her, or making myself feel worth less because I felt that there was something of value I had to give up for her. But what if? What if you had this definition, and what if you were really clear on the term sacrifice? How many people you would have probably never said that to? Because in the reality of it, honestly, we really don't sacrifice anything. But I'm going to tell you a true sacrifice. But I'm saying anything that is a choice that you personally made and it resulted in the way in which you did not hope it would be is not a sacrifice. It's a choice. It is a decision you made based on the result to which you were hoping. It didn't happen. Therefore, because of your investment, the investment didn't give you a return. You cannot turn around and say it's a sacrifice. And you sure the hell can't make others feel guilty of it and then turn around and say, well, I sacrificed so much. There's not really much on this earth that we can give and then make us feel worth less. I think a huge percentage of us, a huge percentage of society has a terrible definition, has a terrible understanding of the term sacrifice. And we use it as a weapon, and we use it as a weapon against the people we love. We are constantly looking for ways, and when we're faced with situations, whether it's money, whether it's anything, we will well, you know, I sacrificed this in order for you to have that. I'll tell you something else that this comes into play. A lot of females, you know, maybe some males too, you know, are in relationships with the goal of marriage. This is your goal, like you want marriage. And you've both made that clear. So there comes a time in that relationship where there's a fork in the road, where the man is controlling the aspect of when marriage would take place. Because for the most part, despite what we see on social media, for the most part, women are waiting, those that want to get married are waiting for the man to propose. But what happens is we start to sacrifice, at least this is what we're saying to these men, I'm sacrificing my time, I'm sacrificing because I'm waiting for you to propose. When in reality, you're not sacrificing anything. You are making a choice. Because if you tell a man that I am sacrificing my time waiting for you to make your mind up, means that you have now devalued yourself, and you've now said I'm worth less, and that your process of figuring this out is worth more. Oh, but I love you so. And in reality, if somebody really loves you, are they really going to make you sacrifice your time and make you feel worth less? But we hear it and see it all the time. Men and women will sit down and have these discussions, and they'll say, I'm sacrificing not seeing anyone else. I'm sacrificing my time. I'm sacrificing my energy. Sacrifice because I'm waiting on you, right? But in the reality of it is that, no, you're not. No, boo-boo. You're making the choice. And you can't hold him or her accountable, or you can't hold him or her in this position of making them feel guilty because they're not ready and you are, and that you're just sitting back. And people will give months and months and months and years and years and years to someone. Meanwhile, they're using the term sacrifice and not really understanding the definition of that, because what that means is if I'm turning around and telling you I've sacrificed my time, that means that my time is worth less than yours. That means that every effort, every commitment, everything that I'm doing is worth less than what you're doing. And it becomes more of a selfish act and more instead of an act of love. You know, I've said this time and time again on the shows and everything, is that the one thing you can't ever do is make a man marry you. You can't put them in this scenario, and nor can you guilt him or her into that theory. But what if you took this definition of sacrifice and applied it to everything that you may feel that you're making a sacrifice for? What if you took every situation and said, wait, am I taking this and saying to myself that I'm giving up something of value because it is worth less than what this person is requesting? Or, you know, you got to understand something. Things can be person, places, things. Now, it can be anything of value, something of value. You know, the mind is of value. You know, If you're not happy, it's value. You know, if you're giving up happiness for the sake of someone else, that means your happiness is worth less. You gotta take the what if theory and take the definition of sacrifice and go into 2019 with this definition of every situation you're being faced with and say, am I doing this because I feel that this is worth more than me? So do that. Do that in 2019. Take a sticky, just like this. Take a sticky, write the definition of sacrifice and put it somewhere so that when you have a moment of either meditation or something and you are being faced with a decision about something and you know that you've used the term sacrifice within it, what I want you to do is I want you to take this, go read the definition and then apply it. What if you did that with everything going forward? Now I'm going to tell you the true definition of a sacrifice, right? And I'm going to tell you that this truly has come to a point for me that did make me feel worth less. You know, during these next 48 days, I said most of the topics and different things that I'm making myself transparent because I just believe in the end what my stories may do is may touch someone, may make someone, you know, be relatable and everything. And I think being true to yourself, being true to you're putting yourself out there is a way to touch people's lives. So I'm going to tell you the definition of a true sacrifice. Most people in my life know that I take care of at the time of this video, my 82-year-old mother. It's never been a secret. I've said it on the show and different things like that. But what you don't know is the behind the scenes portion of how we got here and all this kind of stuff. You know, for a whole bunch of reasons, my mother is in my home and not in a home. But what happened was not only was this a wish of my father, but what happened when my father died 18 years ago when my father died, you know, we collectively, it's just my brother and myself, we collectively did not come together and say, okay, what are we going to do with mom? Instead, what was told to me, it was my life was worth less than his. Therefore, it's your problem. You figure it out. I don't want anything to do with it. Therefore, you know, I've got a wife, kids, and at the time I didn't have a husband or anything like that. So to him, he devalued my life. I honestly don't care if he sees this video or not. I'm telling the truth. And he devalued my life. Therefore, I was never left with the option to choose. So you have to understand one key component in the theory of sacrifice is that when the option to choose is removed, it is a sacrifice. So I did not have a choice. I had plans for my life, and you'll read about them in the book. It's like I had all these plans and different things like that, and I was not given the option to choose. I was told basically that even though I valued my life and valued different things, I valued the future of my daughter and so forth, I was told to give that up for the sake of caring for my mother. Now, don't get me wrong. I would do anything for my mother, and I've given up everything. But I wanted to use this as a means to make you understand that this is when there is a true sacrifice. So stop using the word sacrifice when it comes to, you know, doing things for people and different things like that you have a choice. Because a choice is not a sacrifice. It is when someone or something or somehow, some way, something goes wrong and your ability to choose is removed. And you have no choice but to deal with it. And in that particular regard, it is a true sacrifice. True sacrifice. So we have to understand going into 2018, let's make sure that we use 2019, I'm sorry, make sure that what we do is we use the definition of sacrifice and we use it in a means to say, I'm going to look at this sacrifice, what I'm being faced with, and I'm going to apply it and then determine if this truly is a sacrifice. All right, everybody, on to day 3. Thank you.